that we are willing to lose our standing in the world, to lose our moral compass, to lose every single credibility that we have created in order to provide impunity for Israel to not face the consequences of their war crimes. Is it because we don't think the lives of Palestinians matter? Is it because these babies whose faces you are seeing are not looked at as equal human beings? Is it because a stateless, helpless people who have been tortured and
Well, good afternoon. I'm Caroline Collins. Welcome to our Daily Debrief. Some new information is coming in connection to that stabbing near the Galleria this past weekend. The suspect arrested in that case was scheduled for court this morning, but as Chelsea Edwards explains, her appearance in front of a judge has been put on hold.
What a whirlwind this family has been through in just the last few days. The mother of Kayla Stevenson saying she learned about this arrest just moments before she was scheduled to view her daughter's body for the very first time. So here's a look at who police now have in custody. 37-year-old Kaysen Sky Blossom, now charged with capital murder. We're told a SWAT team took her into custody at her home without incident on Wednesday. Homicide detectives say Blossom stabbed Stevenson multiple times as the team was on her way to work to the Galleria Mall Saturday morning around 11 a.m. That stabbing taking place in the middle of the day near Saks Fifth Avenue on West Alabama near Sage Street. Witnesses flagged down police saying they saw the two fighting over the purse Stevenson was carrying. We now know that had her wallet, keys, and cell phone inside. After the stabbing, the attacker jumped on a bicycle and rode away, according to witnesses. Investigators believe Blossom tried to rob Stevenson and ended up killing the young mother of a 6-month-old baby. Kayla's mother says she is relieved that Houston Police Chief Troy Finner told her they would catch the person responsible, and they now have someone in custody.
He did call me after, and he made a promise that this was going to happen, that he was going to catch the person, and he did. She took a very important person away from me and her sisters and her daughter.
Blossom was scheduled to appear in court at 9 a.m. this morning. However, she was a no-show. We are told that she's been placed on medical hold. For now, reporting in downtown, Chelsea Edwards, Fox 26 News.
Well, one person is dead and several others are injured after an 18-wheeler accident in Tomball. This all happened shortly after 7 this morning along FM 2978, Huff Smith, Corville. At this hour, it's still unclear exactly what happened here, but at last check, the 3 people taken to the hospital were in fair condition. Well, hostile drivers taking over Houston roads this holiday season. We're reporting yet another alleged road rage shooting. This one happening just before 5 a.m. on 45 and West Road in North Harris County. We're told that one man was shot in this incident, but with non-life-threatening injuries. Other details are scarce as the scene did clear quickly, but we are working to learn some more, and we'll have the latest on Fox 26 News at 5. That incident comes as police search for the suspect in another road rage shooting. This one killed 17-year-old Louise Wilson, who was driving from Waco to Galveston when she unintentionally cut off another driver on the Gulf Freeway. That's when she was shot. Her parents were in Houston yesterday asking for help bringing her killer to justice.
She wanted to just see this great, travel through here and go see Galveston and have a good time. And she ended up dying a hero. She was shot through her heart, and she was still able to safely pull over the car and save the people in her car and other people that were driving. And she wanted to help people, and she helped them. And we'll always remember that of her.
Anyone with any information on this case should call Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Well, if you're still looking to chime in on the controversial I45 expansion, there's another public meeting scheduled for tonight. This is a look at the portion of I45 that the project plans to change between downtown and the Beltway to the north. Critics of the $9 billion project say it would increase pollution and displace underserved communities, while officials say it'll relieve traffic, improve safety, and reduce flooding. Tonight's meeting is happening at the Aldine 9th Grade Center from 5 to 7. Houston ISD leaders plan to take the next step on becoming a district of innovation during tonight's board meeting. It would exempt HISD from state requirements, including those related to the school calendar and hiring uncertified teachers. Superintendent Mike Miles says that the designation is used by many other districts across the state and will help to improve school performance. Tonight's meeting at the HISD auditorium is open to the public. That all starts at 5. The Supreme Court will take up its first abortion-related case since it overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022. It centers a Texas lawsuit over access to an abortion drug. The justices will hear appeals from the Biden administration and the maker of mifepristone, asking the High Court to reverse an appeals court ruling that cuts off access to this drug by mail, even in states where abortion is legal. The justices rejected a separate appeal from abortion opponents who challenged the FDA's initial approval of this drug.
President Biden and Vice President Harris will continue to fight to defend women's ability to access reproductive care.
It's not about whether abortion is legal or illegal. It's about the method in which it's provided. That's what this case is focused on.
Now the case will be argued in the spring with a decision expected by late June. Well, pressing Israel to pause the fight. That's the goal of President Biden's national security advisor. Jake Sullivan visited Israel today to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to ask the Israeli government to limit civilian casualties. This all comes after one of the deadliest battles of the war and Israel vowing to push ahead until it crushes Hamas. Now, Sullivan also met with the Saudi crown prince before heading to Israel, hoping this diplomatic blitz will result in a new ceasefire. Now, since that attack on Israel on October 7th, we've seen a rise in threats, violence, and protests on college campuses. As college students return home for winter break, some have been influenced by friends and social media. Fox News senior national correspondent William LaJeunesse has details on how parents can talk to their kids who may have extreme or opposing viewpoints about what's happening in the Middle East.
The war between Israel and Hamas at the forefront of conversations on social media, college campuses, and Capitol Hill.
I have sought to confront hate while preserving free expression.
Since the attack on October 7th, we've seen a rise in protests at universities, including hate speech, threats, and physical violence aimed at both Jewish and Muslim students. 73% of Jewish college students and 44% of non-Jewish students say they've seen or experienced anti-Semitism this year, according to a recent survey by the Anti-Defamation League and Hillel International.
I do think that the anti-Semitism here is real.
There are stories of Palestinians getting stabbed here, punched.
Well, now many students are home for winter break and they want advice from parents about what's happening at school. But how do you handle that conversation if their views radically diverge from your own?
The important thing in a situation like that is really to respect that they have an opinion and start to what I call engage in healthy interrogation with them.
Todd Shank, a professor at Virginia Tech and the parent of a teenager, suggests engaging your child with a series of healthy questions to help get to the root of their thinking.
What's underlying this, right? Why do you feel this way? And also it could be how, right? How did you come to this opinion? Where are you finding this, right? But not sort of in a way that suggests that you are, incredulous towards them or that you think somehow they're inferior or foolish.
And faith leaders like Rabbi Joshua Heller say it's normal for children to rebel against their parents.
A healthy part of being young is differentiating, is figure out who you are independent of who your parents are. So I think parents must be patient.
And social media isn't making things any easier. Activists from both sides have flooded the internet with false reporting about the war, making it difficult for many students to separate fact from fiction. In Los Angeles, William LaJeunesse, Fox News.
We're halfway through our 12 Days of Christmas holiday campaign, and today, a man in Southwest Houston continues to help his 3 children get over the loss of their mother, while also caring for his late wife's mother. Fox 26's exclusive furniture, Walmart, Chick-fil-A, and BakerRipley wanted to make sure that that family's holidays are a whole lot brighter. Ruben Dominguez wraps up day 6.
12 Days of Christmas, day number 6. It is a wrap, almost. We can't do this without all of these people in the room, y'all. You know this. We need all of our partners. Let me hear you. That's right. Because we're trying to make it a happy holidays for our day number 6 family. Exclusive is here. Sam couldn't be, but Adam, filling the slot, doing the thing. How you feeling?
I feel great.
What'd you bring for the family?
Sofa, love seat, 2 mattresses for the kids, a mattress for Pops, and I got a 7-piece dining set, as well as a media chest for the kids.
I love it. I love it. This is a comfortable sofa. You picked a good one.
I love this sofa. It's actually really comfortable.
You got good taste.
If the family lets me sleep on it for a bit and then drive home, I would appreciate it.
I'm coming by Sunday to watch the Texans. They don't know it yet. All right. Claudia's here, President, CEO of BakerRipley. Hey, you guys do such an amazing job. 90 families we're up to in 8 years.
Well, and they represent just one family, but we serve 500,000 people every year that are just like Mr. Seiger, hardworking people that just need a hand up, a door open, access to our resources, education, and connection. And that's what we do every day here at BakerRipley through our schools, through our Head Starts, through our veterans, through our workforce centers, through our immigration, legal clinics. If someone needs something, go to BakerRipley.org and we'll help you.
There you go. All right. Yeah, give yourself a round of applause for that. So, guys, we got here early. We've had everybody working hard. We filled the house up with some Christmas cheer. So I'm going to talk to Dad real quick. So tell me right now, how you feeling?
We're feeling great. We're loving this, man. Yeah. It's going to be a Merry Christmas for sure.
It's going to be a real Merry Christmas. So, and I know you guys asked Santa for some bikes. Some bikes showed up, so the whole family's going to be riding, yeah?
Yes, sir. We got some awesome trails over here for bike riding, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that.
All right, guys. Can I get you all to say Merry Christmas for me? You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Merry Christmas!
All right, guys, you know how this goes. Tomorrow morning, 6:45, knocking on the door on the Fox 26 morning show for day number 7 of the 12 Days of Christmas. We'll see you then. Merry Christmas.
Now, if you need help or would like to help others, BakerRipley offers several programs and services. For some more information, you can call the number on your screen or check out BakerRipley.org. You can catch all your Fox Local news and content right on your smart TV. You just have to download the Fox Local app. Now we have meteorologist Ramisha Shade in the studio for us this afternoon with what we can expect weather-wise. Hi, Ramisha.
Hi, Caroline. We are in the fun, festive holiday season, and boy, it is flying by. We are just 11 days away from our Christmas holiday, so hopefully you are getting those holiday plans nailed down. If you have family going out of town, coming into town, maybe you are still doing some of that holiday shopping. Maybe you're still putting up your Christmas lights. You still have a few more days to knock things out, maybe before some family arrives. But overall, we are getting closer, and we're just 18 days away from 2024. Still a little over 60 days to do all those special plans for the special someone, significant other in your life. Valentine's Day still a ways away, but Christmas right around the corner. So let's talk about the type of weather we're going to have to get through before we get to our Christmas holiday. It looks like we are still on track for a round of potentially heavy rain, especially for your Friday evening. So plan for heavy rain, maybe a few strong thunderstorms mixed in, and for that reason, we are calling Friday or tomorrow a Fox 26 storm alert day. So what does that mean? That means there's a chance that we could have isolated 1 or 2 brief storms to pop up and produce maybe some small hail, some gusty wind. Doesn't appear to be a huge severe weather threat, but we could have a little bit of flooding. We could have a few strong storms. We just want you to be aware and be ready to take action just in case the weather does get a little rowdy on us. At this point, a clean sweep as we check out our FoxRad radar. This is our radar. And it is very quiet, like I mentioned, no rain showing up at this point. We did have a few light rain showers to roll across the area yesterday. We're getting a break now, but we've still got a pretty major storm system that will start to push in over the next 24 hours. So you can see the big change across the state. We are mild here. We actually are enjoying some sunshine out there. Some of those clouds did break up, and that has allowed the temperatures to warm to the low 70s. So 72 degrees in Houston, mild afternoon in Dallas, 63 degrees right now. But look what's happening across the Texas Panhandle, 39 degrees in the Lubbock area. And just north of Lubbock, you can see that green switch to a little bit of white. That is some snowfall up in that colder air. So definitely some big changes as you go west and northwest across the state of Texas. This has all been kicked off by a big storm system still over the southwestern U.S. It is getting closer, though. That area of low pressure will start to push into our area for tomorrow, and that will mean a better shot for rain. But you can see some of that snowfall. There's Amarillo, and just north of Amarillo, we do have some of that light snow showing up as you push up into parts of Kansas. So it is definitely chilly air that we have up there. You can see the blue on the map indicating some of that chilly air, and this storm system will start to kick some of that moisture our way for Friday evening, Friday night especially, into early Saturday. So we've been monitoring this system for the last several days. We've been telling you all about it, and we still have that low marginal 5% threat for heavy rain that could lead to a little bit of street flooding out there. So this is going to be Friday through Saturday morning, but basically kind of pinpointing that time frame a little bit more. I think our highest risk will be after 5 p.m. Friday evening, all the way through about 2-3 a.m. Saturday morning. That is when we're expecting a big round of rain to push through, and a few strong thunderstorms could be mixed in as well. So there is that small risk for street flooding. It does include the entire area. Like I said, late Friday, if you did have plans to maybe throw on your fancy dress, your suit, head out to a holiday party, if you're going out to eat for tomorrow night, if you have any other holiday plans or just plans in general, just make sure that you grab the rain gear before you leave. Make sure to have your raincoat, rain jacket, rain boots potentially, and also prepare for the possibility for maybe a little hail and a few strong wind gusts. The good news with the severe weather threat is the fact that it is not a high threat for us. In fact, we're not even in that category 1 out of 5 risk for severe storms for Friday and Friday night. However, we are in the general thunderstorm category, so that still means we could have isolated strong storms pop up as this heavy rain pushes in. I do think we will have enough moisture, lift, instability in the atmosphere to at least have 1 or 2 of these cells briefly pop up, and they could become quite strong. I don't think we'll have much in the way of severe thunderstorm warnings, but a few strong storms can't be ruled out. So this is what we're expecting with the potential for those strong storms, maybe a little small hail, probably pea to marble size, likely less than an inch. So I don't think it'll be up towards quarter size, but small hail and briefly some stronger wind gusts, maybe around 40 to 50 miles per hour. So that's what it's looking like for your Friday. That line of rain and storms will actually stick around through early Saturday morning. So we still have the risk for a few of those thunderstorms hanging around early Saturday, basically for eastern and southeastern parts of the area. So for Houston, over towards Liberty, Winnie, Galveston, still a few storms early Wednesday morning. I think by the time we get to 7 and 8 a.m., early Saturday morning rather, but think by the time we get to 7, 8 a.m. on Saturday, we are going to see those storms start to push off to the east. So let me break it down for you and track your weather as we go into the next several hours with Futurecast. And this is going to be that line of storms that will start to push in. Notice most of the rain staying back to our west by Friday afternoon. Starting to see a few showers pushing in, but I think most of Friday morning we're not going to have to worry about a lot. Just a few showers, maybe an isolated storm popping up across the area. So this is the 3 p.m. time frame for Friday, and notice some of those heavier downpours starting to push into some of our western zones. LaGrange over towards Hallettsville, getting close to Bryan, College Station, Brenham, and Navasota. So you'll be the first to get in on some of that heavy rain action. Then it's going to start to spread east, and this is coming kind of at an inconvenient time. Rush hour Friday evening is already pretty much a mess out there across Houston, and we're in the holiday season. So this rain could certainly have some big impacts on the evening rush for Friday. So I'll stop the clock here around 6 p.m. Notice the rain is starting to push into the Houston area. Some of those dark greens, yellows, reds, indicating some very heavy rainfall that could come down in this line. You can see the heavy rain showing up around 9 p.m. between Livingston, Shepherd, Conroe, Spring, even up towards Huntsville. And yes, some of that likely will push down into the Houston area. So we are talking about the threat for some pretty significant rain. It's going to be for a fairly short period of time. I think by 1, 2, 3 a.m. Saturday, it's still over us, but starting to move east. And look at this, by 9 a.m. Saturday, models are showing it completely out of here. We could still have some isolated, lingering showers, but I think most of that heavy rain should quickly push east. Once it leaves our area, it's actually going to turn into an even stronger storm system, and it's going to roll right up the east coast of the U.S. early next week, and that could pose some big travel issues if you did have plans to maybe travel to the southeast, mid-Atlantic, and even into the northeast. But for us, our biggest issue will be from that heavy rain and maybe a few strong storms, and it's going to be Friday night. I think for Friday during the day, rain chances are going to be around 60%, all the way up to 90% though with that rain chance for Friday night, and still a 40% chance for lingering showers early Saturday before we get rid of that rainfall completely for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So it is going to be a significant weather event, but it should be a fairly short-lived weather event with that rain coming through pretty quickly. Temperatures are going to be on the mild side for Friday, right around 67 degrees. We'll cool things down a little bit for Saturday, slightly below the norm, but then we are back near average with those temperatures for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and check out Thursday as we're getting closer and closer to our Christmas holiday, which is next Monday. We are going to have those temperatures close to 70 degrees. So certainly it is going to be a nice warming trend as we get closer to our Christmas holiday. Looking even farther ahead, as we go into the Christmas holiday, this will be December 21st through December 27th. So this takes us through Christmas and a couple days after. It looks like we will stay with those temperatures just slightly above average for Houston, and even more above average as you head farther north into the northern plains up towards the Great Lakes. So it looks like basically the majority of the country dealing with temperatures near or above normal for the Christmas holiday. So the chance for a white Christmas really anywhere across the country not looking that great at this point with these above normal temperatures, but we certainly don't have to worry about a white Christmas here. We'll probably be closer to 70 degrees instead of temperatures that would support snow, which would be, of course, 20s and 30s. So it looks like we will stay mild. We do have the big round of rain to get through tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow is still a Fox 26 storm alert day, so that means you need to stay weather aware. Make sure to download our Fox 26 weather app if you haven't already, and also make sure to catch us on Fox Local. Download the Fox Local app. It's our free streaming app for your connected TV, for your Roku, for your Android TV, for your other devices. It is a great app to have. You can watch all of our shows on the live stream. You can download different things. You can watch shows on demand. It is a great app, so make sure to download that. If you're not going to be in front of your TV, you can always catch us on Fox Local. Make sure that you continue to check in. We'll give you updates on this rain coming, but it looks like once we get rid of that rain, things should be fairly quiet for most of the week leading into our Christmas holiday. That is your weather update for this Thursday. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. Enjoy the rest of your day.
For America's national security. That said, this is an irresponsible group of people, and we've dealt with this throughout the entirety of this do-nothing Republican Congress, and so there are ongoing discussions. Our view in the House is that whatever agreement is arrived at tentatively, when it's time for us to evaluate it, it has to be consistent with two principles. One, America is a nation of immigrants. That gives us a competitive advantage over China and everyone else. And two, we are a nation anchored in the rule of law. If whatever comes over from the Senate is anchored in those two principles, or is at least not inconsistent with those two principles, then I think we'll be able to evaluate it in good faith, and every individual member would have to make decisions. We'll go over to this side. Yeah, thanks.
Catherine Swartz with Notice. I'm wondering about the future of Ukraine funding beyond this bill into 2024. Growing number of Republicans have expressed doubt over funding for Ukraine. What do you see as the long-term future for Congress in terms of funding this war?
This is what confuses me, because when I was growing up, I was told that Republicans were the party of national security. That was the case apparently under Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. It clearly is no longer the case, as evidenced by the fact that so many Republicans today voted against pay raises for our military and the National Defense Authorization Act. The fact that Republicans have been taken over by the extremists and the traditional national security Republicans are on the run is evidenced by the Republican resistance to supporting the war effort in Ukraine. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, if you are serving in Congress, immersed in these national security issues, to understand that if we allow Vladimir Putin to run through Ukraine, that his next target will be a NATO country, which means that American military men and women will be in the fight. Not just our resources, American military men and women risking their lives consistent with our NATO obligations. My Republican colleagues have suggested that they don't have any clarity on the plan moving forward or the successes of Ukraine. The Ukrainian women and men have been incredibly courageous, incredibly brave, incredibly effective in pushing back against the Russian military and Vladimir Putin's aggression. Heading into this conflict, all of the prognosticators, including very sophisticated ones, were telling the world in February of 2022 that Russia's military was going to wipe out Ukraine and be in Kyiv in about a week. We are now approximately 22 months into this conflict, and here's what we know about Ukraine's success. Ukraine has captured 50% of the territory once held by Russia. It's now been recaptured by Ukraine. They have pushed back the Russian military, which, by the way, heading into this conflict was the fiercest, we believed, military in Europe. Stronger than Germany, stronger than Great Britain, stronger than France. The bravery of the Ukrainian military, with support from the United States against great odds, has resulted in more than 300,000 casualties being inflicted on the Russian military. 300,000 in less than 2 years. More than half the Russian military has been wiped out. That's in America's national security interests, because we're a democracy. We push back against authoritarian dictators who threaten peace and stability in the world. And so it's just not clear to any of us who understand these dynamics how our Republican colleagues can push back against wanting to fund the Ukrainian war effort in America's national security interest. The reason they are doing so, in my humble opinion, is that there is a pro-Putin caucus that has increasingly taken over the Republican Party. Here in the Congress, the pro-Putin caucus is led by Jim Jordan and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Outside of the Congress, the pro-Putin caucus in the Republican Party is led by Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson. They are undermining America's national security in order to elevate Vladimir Putin. That's shameful.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. When you all come back from holiday, there are going to be some appropriations deadlines coming out of the pipe. There's some concerns about a full-year CR or a government shutdown. I'm curious how you all are approaching it inside the caucus. And if you can explain to the American people why a full-year CR or obviously a government shutdown is not ideal, I'd appreciate it.
Well, our view is that we do have top-line spending numbers sufficient to begin the appropriations process that are connected with the Bipartisan Fiscal Responsibility Act and the global agreement that was reached in May of 2023. The top-line spending number is not a mystery to anyone. It is 1659. That is the number that is necessary for us to proceed in a manner consistent with meeting the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being. The problem is that while House Democrats agree with Senate Democrats on that number, and House and Senate Democrats agree with Senate Republicans on that number, and all of us agree with the Biden administration on that number, the extreme MAGA Republicans remain on an island, trying to break the agreement that they themselves negotiated. It's a non-starter. It's not happening. And if extreme MAGA Republicans continue to refuse to keep the agreement related to the Bipartisan Fiscal Responsibility Act, they are marching America to a government shutdown.
Yesterday, there were a number of members of the Hispanic caucus who lined up in opposition potentially to a border deal. Have you spoken at all with the leaders of the Hispanic caucus about this?
I speak to a variety of different members, including leaders of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus regularly, but I'm not in a position to comment on any potential agreement in the absence of being able to actually review the substance of what a border proposal looks like in the Senate.
So this week, the Wizards and Capitals look to be finding a new home in Virginia. Some Republicans are saying that crime is a key factor in this decision. Do you think the American people are weary on Democrats when it comes to the issue of crime?
First of all, I'm a long-suffering Jets fan, so I haven't really been able to follow the goings and comings of the Wizards and the Capitals. However, I think that public safety post-pandemic is moving in the right direction. Certainly in the city of New York, we've seen that homicides are down and shootings are down. That is a good thing. And New York has been restored as the safest big city in the world. I think that you would have to talk to the owner of the Capitals and Wizards to figure out the reason for their move, but it's very likely that it has nothing to do with public safety concerns and everything to do with economics.
If I could just move to New York. New York 3 GOP Nassau just announced Mazi Pilip as the contender against Swazi. Can you talk about how the coordinated campaign is going to address this and how they're going to work this campaign?
Well, you know, under the Capitol Dome, I'm not really in a position to be able to comment in any significant way, other than to say that I think that Tom Swazi is going to be able to articulate a way forward in terms of putting people over politics and serving the people of Nassau County and Queens but it's the Swazi campaign and the candidate who are going to have to prosecute this case. And I expect that he'll do it projecting partisanship as a problem that has poisoned the do-nothing Republican Congress and offering a different way to solve problems on behalf of the people that he hopes to represent. Thanks.
Leader Jeffries, you and your Democratic colleagues were out on the Capitol steps earlier today, looking back at Sandy Hook 11 years ago, talked about the need for gun violence prevention legislation to come through, yet it's another year that goes by that not much has been done on that front. Considering the fact that there are other items that you and your Democratic colleagues have brought up as a major concern, talk to me about the frustration of not getting this gun prevention legislation through, and some of the other major ticket items that you wanted to get through, but you weren't able to before the end of the year because of Republicans in Congress.
Well, the do-nothing Republican Congress has focused on the wrong priorities from the very beginning. And that's unfortunate because House Democrats have made clear that we are ready and willing and able at any point, at any time, to work on bipartisan solutions for the American people with respect to gun safety or any other issue. Instead, we've seen repeated efforts by MAGA extremists to jam their right-wing ideology down the throats of the American people in a manner that's inconsistent with meeting the needs of hardworking American taxpayers. The failure to act in any way to address the gun violence epidemic when there are more than 600 mass shootings in the country this year. More than 40,000 Americans have lost their lives, and gun violence is the leading cause of death for the children in America. That should shock the conscience of everyone and demand action with the fierce urgency of now. But MAGA extremists are driven by their ideology, it appears, as opposed to doing the right thing for the American people. House Democrats are going to continue to push hard using every vehicle available to us to solve the gun violence epidemic and address other issues of concern.
Do you think at this point it's only going to change once Democrats are in control of the House?
Well, that's a decision that the American people are going to have to make if we find ourselves in that situation in November. Thanks.
Just two quick questions. One on the appropriations. Is it fair to say you all are not close yet on that top line number, especially since it seems like you said, House Dems, Senate, Republicans, and Democrats are in agreement to what's into law. So, what more can you do to get Johnson to agree to that number?
It's fair to say that we are either going to agree to keep the agreement that had been reached in terms of the Bipartisan Fiscal Responsibility Act with a top-line spending number at $16.59, or the extreme MAGA Republicans in the House are going to shut down the government, which will hurt the American people.
And then if I can also ask, today is Kevin McCarthy's last day. You just gave a speech on the floor about an hour ago. You all worked together, got along as best as you could. Do you have any parting last words for him? Have you all been able to speak since he was asked a couple months ago?
We have been in communication, but I will say that we had a very positive working relationship. It was candid. We agreed to disagree without being disagreeable, and I wish him nothing but the best. Last question.
Leader, with the recent uptick in anti-Semitism, places of worship have been attacked, things like that. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is asking for $200 million to improve security for their places of worship, Catholic churches. Can I get the House Democrats' position on that?
Yeah, well, President Biden has set forth over 100 different steps that can be taken, both in terms of appropriations as well as legislative action, to deal with the deeply disturbing rise in anti-Semitism and other forms of hatred in the United States of America. One of the things that we need to do is provide additional security grants to make sure that synagogues and churches and mosques and other places and houses of worship can secure themselves in this climate of increasing hatred, and it's something that I believe House Democrats are prepared to support when we see an actual legislative proposal.
Do you think you'll see it at the beginning of next year?
Certainly we will work to make sure that we can provide the additional resources necessary to ensure that every single American feels safe in a synagogue, in a shul, in a temple, or in a house of worship. Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Leader.
All right, listening in there to Hakeem Jeffries as he spoke earlier today on Capitol Hill. I'm Lexi Petrovich. Thanks so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox, continuing to take you through all of the top stories of the day, as well as breaking news and live events as they happen in real time. Speaking of, a live picture here right now that we've been following of a peaceful protest that is happening here. And this is a group of over 400 Jewish community members, rabbis, faith leaders, elders, and allies participating in this peaceful protest that is happening right now out of Philadelphia. You can see many signs here, people in attendance as our Skyfox chopper is overhead. Many of these taking place across the country. Yesterday, we saw a very busy interstate in California, Southern California, that was blocked off for the very same reason, causing many traffic delays. And so we're seeing another similar situation to this, although it doesn't appear that it's in the middle of the freeway here, as we saw yesterday in California. Let's also give you a live picture right now at the U.S. Capitol here. This comes today as we bring you more news from the Capitol after the Ukrainian President Zelensky's visit to D.C. and the conversation surrounding more aid, more help continues, and this is still ongoing, and it comes at a time that lawmakers are gearing up for the holidays. They're getting ready to leave. Let's bring you this update on where things stand with Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera.
A glimmer of hope in the Senate, where Republicans and Democrats are signaling progress in their talks to provide more funding for Ukraine and address the southern border.
A number of Senate Republicans have been working in good faith to make sure that supplemental legislation makes substantive policy changes at the border instead of just throwing money at the problem.
The small boost of optimism comes after days of frustration. Republicans insistent any more aid for Ukraine must come with immigration reform. While the negotiations have yet to be fleshed out, the Associated Press reports one of the proposals being considered would allow Homeland Security officials to stop migrants from applying for asylum if the number of total crossings exceeded the daily capacity by 5,000.
President Biden has always been willing to work across the aisle. His entire political career, he's always tried to find compromise.
Some Democrats and immigration advocates are urging the Biden administration not to give in to GOP demands.
It would literally be the most exclusionary, restrictive immigration legislation since the racial quota laws of the 1920s.
But with billions of dollars for Ukraine on the line, the White House has limited options.
Nearly 20 months after he launched his brutal and barbaric invasion, Mr. Putin said today that his aggression in Ukraine will not end, and there will only be peace, quote, when our goals are achieved, end quote.
The Senate is expected to return on Monday as they try to hammer out a deal on the border and Ukraine before Christmas. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
All right, Madeline, thanks so much. Let's stay on Capitol Hill today and take you out to where we heard from Kevin McCarthy of California in his final speech addressing lawmakers on Capitol Hill today as he spoke before them, talking about his message to lawmakers in his final message here in Washington, D.C. Let's listen in here to his brief remarks here next.
People more freedom. Do not be fearful that you could lose your job over it. I knew the day we decided to make sure to choose to pay our troops while war was breaking out instead of shutting down was the right decision. I also knew a few would make a motion. Somehow they disagreed with that decision. Do it anyways. I would do it all again. But there's so much we have been able to accomplish in a short amount of time. I watched on a clip the other day, and they took a short clip of a quote of mine. And I had the privilege of being leader for 5 years. and I think about, did I leave this place better than I received it? I remember sitting where Congressman Calvert was, and it was the State of the Union. The Democrats had won the majority. I had got elected minority leader while another colleague from my state, Nancy Pelosi, got elected speaker. I watched the Democrats stand up, and they were very diverse. They looked like America. I watched us stand up. We had lost the majority. I quote and say we looked like one of the most restrictive country clubs in America. And I thought at that moment, I could be the leader of a declining party, or I can focus on what I know brought me to this party. Conceived in liberty, dedicated the proposition that we are all equal. And I would take that message to places people didn't think they would vote for a Republican. And that California delegation at that time was pretty small. And yes, it was competitive having the speaker from California. She would put out that she was going to win a lot more seats in California. But I'm proud to say, in those election cycles, we picked up 5 more seats in California. That's larger than our overall majority. 5 more in New York, in Oregon, in Arizona. And in that same time frame, the party I love lost in the Senate both cycles, lost the presidency, but we won. The secret? The quality of the candidate. When I looked at Young Kim, Michelle Steele, John Duarte, David Valadao, these are unbelievable seats that idea wins in. And I look at our party today, it doesn't look like it did 5 years ago. We're winning in places you haven't seen before. When I look to the future, I think it's much brighter. Why? Because the ideas are different. When we look at the time that I served as Speaker, we didn't ignore the border. We actually secured our border with the smallest majority here to govern. Even when we had a large one, we could not do it. And that came from the subcommittee of the chairman of Tom McClintock. Brought people from all sides of the aisle together. When I watched the gas price just skyrocket under the Biden administration, we didn't sit back. We made it our #1 priority and passed energy independence. The public sits above, but for those 4 years they didn't get to. We opened this place back up because it is the people's house. We created the Select Committee on China to make sure America can be competitive. We put our accountability on the weaponization so the American citizen would be protected. We made the largest cut in American history, and this body voted for it. Welfare reform to get people and help them to get back to work. The largest rescissions in American history, where money was appropriated and not used, but only in Washington would you let it still be there. As we watched across the country crime rise, and D.C. want to go the same way. First time in 30 years, this body stood up. 170 on the other side of the aisle thought you should decriminalize carjacking and others. The president threatened to veto it. But we did it anyways, and we stopped them, and it became law. We believe in building things in America, but we watched many times the laws we thought that were passed before to protect us only slowed us and weakened us. So for the first time in 40 years, we reformed NEPA. We did all this with a slim majority. But what I'm most proud of is what the future holds. The legacy will be about the ones I see who serve here now. And I know the potential of what they will do. I know the potential of this nation. I am so thankful to be given the opportunity to serve. I will be departing, but that doesn't mean I'll stop serving. Those across this nation should join together to become those citizen legislators. We cannot let this body fail to do the jobs that are so most basic that we should do every day. And we should never allow this body to stop for doing what is right. So if you come across that question of whether you should do what's right out of fear of losing your job, do it anyways, because it's the right thing to do, and this is what the nation requires. I think putting people before politics is always the right answer. And I thank my friends for their kind words. I thank them for their friendship that will not end. And I thank this nation for creating a body that is represented by the people. I think we should rise to the occasion one more time. With that, I yield back. Thank you.
All right, Representative Kevin McCarthy there addressing lawmakers on the House floor on his final day in Washington as a member of Congress this afternoon. Lawmakers applauding afterwards. We are going to take our first commercial break here of this hour. We still have much more ahead to get to, and that includes this story from earlier today. If you were with us as we brought you live coverage, that's a bull on the tracks in New Jersey. It disrupted transit and many people's commutes this morning. We're going to be bringing you a live report, an update on exactly what happened today in New Jersey. That's coming up here in the next few minutes. Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. Thanks for joining us here. We still have much more to get to on our programming on this Thursday, but we always appreciate you joining us here as we take you through all of these headlines. Coming up here in a little bit, we'll be taking you out to Newark, New Jersey, as we bring you an update on a bull stuck on the tracks this morning, disrupting a lot of people's commutes this morning. That's going to be coming up here in the next couple of minutes. In the meantime, though, let's continue on with some other headlines that we're following today. And this was something we brought legal affairs journalist Megan Cuniff on yesterday to discuss, but it has to do with the very high-profile trial right now involving actor Jonathan Majors as more evidence has surfaced in the assault trial. We want to bring you this update here with our team at Fox 5 in New York.
Prosecutors have released new video from Jonathan Majors' domestic assault trial, which appears to show the actor pushing British choreographer Grace Jabari back into a black Cadillac Escalade after it pulled over in Chinatown. The Manhattan DA's office slowed down this clip to show what was happening. Afterwards, the two get out of the SUV and walk to the intersection of Center and Canal Streets, where Majors shoves Jabari away from him before running off. Jabari can be seen chasing him down the street. The Creed 3 star is on trial for allegedly assaulting Jabari, his former girlfriend, in New York City last March. Jabari met Majors on the set of Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, in which Majors played villain Kang the Conqueror. Prosecutors say the actor slammed Grace Jabari on the side of her head and twisted her arm, leaving a gash on her ear and fracturing her finger after she read a romantic text message sent to him by another woman. Majors has pleaded not guilty to misdemeanor assault and harassment charges, with his lawyers arguing he is the real victim. They claim it was Jabari who attacked Majors in New York City last March, leaving him bloodied and then spending the rest of the night clubbing, calling the accusations a revenge plot to ruin Majors' acting career. According to Variety magazine, Majors has decided not to testify, even though the charges have halted his career and damaged his reputation. The defense called just 3 witnesses to the stand yesterday: an NYPD detective, a Connecticut doctor, and a Majors agent. Defense attorneys rested their case later that afternoon.
And want to pull up this tweet here as well with another update we're just getting in. This is from legal affairs journalist Megan Cuniff saying in this update that there was no verdict today in the Jonathan Majors trial. The 6 jurors return tomorrow at 2:15 Eastern time. So we'll continue to bring you more on this here in the days to come. Let's continue on here. A major story that happened this morning out of New Jersey. A bull stuck on the train tracks, disrupting a lot of people's commute this morning. And it's not something that you see every day, that's for sure. We want to bring in right now Fox 5 New York's Teresa Priolo. She joins us live from Newark right now. And Teresa, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen that can disrupt morning traffic, but a bull on the tracks doesn't typically come to mind.
Yeah, when I started my day, Lexi, I didn't think this was going to be the story that I was going to be on, and yet here we are. You know the saying, you mess with the bull, you get a great news story. You see a lot of stuff in Newark, and delays at Newark Penn happen for almost every imaginable reason. But this, a 700-pound bovine, this is something new.
Nowadays, you never know what you'll see. But this morning, that was something that I'll always remember.
A longhorn bull taking his chances on NJ Transit, attempting to pull off the Great Escape, risking a trip on the tracks over succumbing to the potential of being next week's dinner. Transit riders were given no warning of the show they were about to witness, but those on the platform said it started with a swarm of cops.
They were telling everybody to disperse as quick as possible. I thought it was a bomb, but come to find out it was a bull.
It's unclear which slaughterhouse the bull came from, but Newark is home to a few. It appears as though the longhorn came from the direction of Newark Liberty Airport. He ran to Newark Penn, pulled a U-turn, went back down towards Frelinghuysen Avenue and Victoria Street. He was darted and corralled.
He's got some big brands on him and bloody marks from them branding him, and he's probably had a rough life a little bit now.
He'll now spend his days at a New Jersey sanctuary, Skylands Animal Sanctuary, run by Mike Stura.
The trailer was hooked up and ready to go, and yeah, we're out the door. And that's the way it goes. There he is. He's up.
Wait till his new friends at the sanctuary hear about his day.
Oh my goodness.
So we checked out the Animal Sanctuary's website, and all of the animals that have been rescued are given names. One of the cows that's been rescued has been named Freddie. That cow escaped from a queen slaughterhouse back in 2016. Lexi, I'm just hoping that this sanctuary has some pretty good fencing to keep these animals in. That's the latest from Newark tonight. We'll send things back to you.
All right, Fox 5's Teresa Priolo there. Teresa, thanks so much. Certainly an interesting assignment today, to say the least.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, have a good one. Thanks so much. Okay, so we will continue to bring you more on this. Let's just pull up this cutie's face one more time here that was posted on X earlier today, courtesy of New Jersey Transit. You can just see him there kind of looking at the camera like, you guys are disrupting me. I'm not disrupting traffic here. This is your fault, not mine. So definitely an interesting morning for folks in New Jersey who are trying to commute and get to and from their destinations today. All right, well, we want to go back into New Jersey here today and take you out to an event that happened earlier, hearing from officials as they talk about some new technology that they hope will help with the winter season and the many snowy days ahead. Let's take you out to this here next.
And I know that Mayor Adams cares deeply about making sure that our disaster response utilizes the latest technology whenever possible. So I'd like to first thank First Deputy Commissioner of Emergency Management, Christina Farrell, for being here today with us, and now turn it over to Mayor Adams.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner. Technology. And I think that's why the Commissioner and I align, because not only in her role as the Commissioner of DSNY, but even while she was at the NYPD, some of the most forward-thinking technology that was used and is still being used to keep us safe, she was responsible for. And I cannot thank you enough for both roles. It's clear that the unpredictability of the snow season is going to need us to use technology to move us forward in a real way. And I often say, if you don't inspect, what you expect is all suspect, and that is where we feel the forecasters are predicting a snowy winter. We're revolutionizing how we track our snow operations and using technology to keep New Yorkers safe. I'm proud today to announce Blade Runner 2.0, our state-of-the-art software, which allows us to better track and support our fleet of approximately 5,000 vehicles across all 5 boroughs. With Blade Runner 2.0, we'll be able to track real-time progress more efficiently, deploy our plows and salt spreaders, and keep the snow and ice off our streets so that the city that never sleeps will never have to be stalled due to a snowstorm. And the beauty of this technology is that we're going to do it in a fair and equitable way. No more systems of first, second, and third tier streets in which different communities receive different levels of services. And we used to hear that all the time on dealing with why certain streets were plowed better. But we're going to equalize and make sure that powerful word of equitable distribution of our resources in real time would assist us. Now, every street in all 5 boroughs is on a plow and salt route. And services will be activated as soon as they're needed, no matter where you live. Because we can't live and can't see snow plows on the Upper East Side and not in Brownsville, not in East New York. We must make sure that all of our streets, with all of our pedestrians, with all of our citizens, receive fair distribution of resources. Every New Yorker deserves to feel safe, to have their streets rapidly and efficiently plowed when snowstorms come. And the Department of Sanitation also has the highest headcount ever. Our city is ready to use technology and people to power to get the job done, but we need your help to do it as well. We say this every time a snowstorm hits. When the snow starts falling, the best thing New Yorkers can do to help us get the roads clear is to stay off them. And we're really asking everyone to participate because this is predicted to be a severe snowstorm season. If you have to travel, use mass transit. So Blade Runner 2.0 and our fleet of salters and plows, piloted by New York City's strongest, can get the job done and get it done efficiently. And as we head into this winter season, we want everyone to sign up for Notify NYC. It is a major way to stay informed of any emergency activities in the city. So while Blade Runner 2.0 and our strong Department of Sanitation team is operating, you could do your role by staying off the streets, being informed, so we can move forward in a fluid manner. Commissioner, again, thanks so much, and you're going to give us a run-through, right?
All right, Mayor Eric Adams of New York City talking about this new technology that they hope will help, especially in the snowy weeks and months ahead amid the winter season. Always incredible to see the many ways that technology is changing and being utilized. Let's continue on here with more top headlines. We want to switch now and start with some other big topics that are on our mind today, and that has to do with the border crisis that we continue to follow. I want to pull up this from Bill Malugin as he posted this on X earlier today. Per Customs and Border Patrol sources, there were once again more than 11,000 migrant encounters at the southern border yesterday. This used to be unheard of, and now it's happening repeatedly. Joining us right now from Eagle Pass, Texas, is Fox's Mills Hayes. Mills, thanks so much for joining us. I think what stood out to me here from Bill's tweet today is that, again, this never used to be happening, and now we're seeing it happen over and over again.
Yeah, Lexi, and to give you guys some perspective, back during the Trump administration, when we really started to hear the phrase border crisis, that's when we were seeing about 3,000 to 4,000 daily crossings. Now we're seeing triple that, and here in the Eagle Pass sector, we've seen more than 15,000 migrants be encountered by CBP in the last week. They've arrested 12 criminal migrants, including some child sex offenders. So many people here that are living on the border, they tell me that they're really sick of it.
In Eagle Pass, Texas, you can see men pull this woman over razor wire and a shipping container to safety. This may look like an obstacle course, but it's migrants illegally crossing the Rio Grande River into the U.S.
This is an everyday thing.
On Tuesday, an already overwhelmed Border Patrol was hit with a massive group, and more are on the way. New exclusive Fox video shows thousands of migrants waiting to catch trains in Mexico bound for the U.S. Maverick County Constable Beto de la Torre says they've seen this before.
I mean, it got crazy. They were just hopping on the train, and you could see them running off the train and everything. So, I mean, it got really bad. We've gotten children with no parents at all, just with information on their shirt, and it's pretty sad.
It's been more than 2 years since Vice President Kamala Harris told migrants, "Do not come." But in 2023, we saw more than 2.4 million illegal crossings, the highest number ever recorded.
We just kind of have to fend for ourselves here in Eagle Pass. We do our best with what we have. It's unacceptable. We feel 100% ignored by the federal government, by the administration. They don't bother to give us a call. Nobody bothers to tell us what the plan of action is.
And the Biden administration does appear to be open to tightening border policies. The Washington Post reported that the White House has floated the idea of sending back migrants without any kind of asylum screening on days that they have really high encounter numbers, so anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 migrants crossing. Now, that would be in exchange for aid to Ukraine, and it doesn't look like that's going to pass before the holiday season, so it could be something that we see after the holiday season. Lexi?
Yeah, Bill, some really incredible video that we get to see talking with reporters like you every day as we follow this migrant crisis. What you're seeing there is certainly a different perspective. Tell us a little bit more about what you've been able to see, what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, Lexi, well, I was actually here about a year and a half ago in April 2022, and now things look a lot different than it did back then. And what's interesting to me is that we're seeing those shipping containers all lined up against the Rio Grande right there. Those weren't all there a year and a half ago, and neither was all of this infrastructure right here where you're seeing the cones and all of these blocked off fences. Now, this was put in place because they have so many migrants coming through this area. They were having to make them form lines, and you actually may be able to see some of the migrants forming a line right there if you look look behind those white generators, there's some migrants that are coming up. They're being led by Border Patrol agents right there, and they're just waiting there until another Border Patrol vehicle or bus comes through so that they can take them to a processing center. But I haven't seen this many migrants down here before, all in this one area until now. So the amount of people that are coming over is just drastic in comparison to a few years ago.
Wow, yeah, thanks so much for shedding some light there. Mills, we really appreciate your reporting. It's always so great to talk with you. Thanks. And we're especially grateful for reporters like Mills and our cameras that are on the grounds there as we continue to get all of these live pictures that are coming in at the border as we continue to cover this. I want to pull up this statement here from Fox's Griff Jenkins, posted on X. Check out this video here. It's exclusive video captured by Fox showing tens of thousands of migrants attempting to catch a train in Mexico. And this is in an area where Border Patrol agents are already overwhelmed with unprecedented numbers. And you can just see how many people we're continuing to get video images of in so many different regions. So more of this exclusive video coming down right now. Let's step away for another quick commercial break here. We still have much more to come. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching live now from Fox. Thanks for joining us. Want to go back out to New York for this next update that we're just getting in here as New York police are talking about an investigation that is ongoing after an officer-involved shooting that happened earlier today. Here's this event.
By two female occupants. Through a little more investigating, our officers become aware that the suspect they're looking for is in the bathroom and he's armed with a firearm. The two females exit the apartment without incident, and from that point, our warrant squad made contact with the male. Our warrant squad notifies our emergency services unit. Our emergency service unit gets to the apartment. They take the lead. They take control of the door. They take control of the scene. They establish contact with the wanted male. They're having different conversations, a variety of conversations with the male. And they're just taking their time talking to him, trying to get him to surrender peacefully. Our emergency service unit deploys different forms of technology that this department uses. They started off with the Scout, which is a small camera that's able to roll inside. The male was able to render the Scout useless. Our emergency service used a small drone to go inside. The male took a broom and swat the drone out of the air and basically destroyed it. And then our officers used an avatar, which is a camera that's on wheels, and it's able to roll in. And with the camera view, they're able to get a better view of what's going on inside the apartment. The officers used the avatar. They followed behind our avatar. They had their bunkers up, our shields. And as they went in, the male exited the bathroom and fired what we believe 4 shots. We believe 4 shots he fired. He struck a small bunker, a small shield 1 time. He struck one of our larger bunkers twice. And one of our members from ESU took a projectile to his bulletproof vest. We don't know if that projectile was as a result of a direct hit or if it was a ricochet, but that officer was removed to the hospital. He's treated. He's doing well. Our officers were able to return fire. They fired twice at the male, striking the male. The lead officer who fired also took the bunker, the shield, and was able to use it to knock the male down and pin him down, while other members were able to put him in handcuffs. EMS was already on. Emergency medical services was already on the scene. They rendered immediate aid, and they removed the male to a local area hospital, but he succumbed to his injuries at about 2:55 p.m. Our cops, all the ESU cops who were involved, were moved to a local area hospital to be evaluated and treated. So I'd like just to take a moment to really commend our warrant squad first and foremost. These women and men, every day, they're out here looking for some of the worst criminals in the city, people who shoot people who harm people, and they do an incredible job of apprehending these suspects and getting them off our streets. And then, of course, I have to speak about our elite emergency service units. More times than I can ever recount, I've been on scenes with them, and their professionalism and their courage and their bravery always keeps people safe, and they're always able to resolve situations. Unfortunately, they had to turn to deadly physical force, but they were fired upon in this particular incident. This investigation will be continued by our Force Investigations Division, along with Manhattan South detectives. So at this point, I'll take any questions.
Could you give us an indication of more information on the shooting he was originally wanted for, and any information on what he said during that exchange and why he didn't want to give himself up?
Absolutely. I'll turn to our chief of detectives to talk about the original October 18th case.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, listening in here to police as they speak on this officer-involved shooting, giving an update this afternoon. We have to take another quick commercial break here. We still have much more ahead here. You can see we have a live picture coming to us out of Southern California right now, where we're going to be hearing in the first news conference from Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers speaking about this record $700 million 10-year deal. That's also coming up here in the next couple of minutes. We'll be bringing you live coverage of that as well, coming up after the break. Welcome back. You're watching Live Now from Fox. Thanks for being here with us. Live picture right now out of Los Angeles, California. You can see that many media members are in attendance here as we get ready to hear from the newest member of the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani, after he has signed a record $700 million contract with the Dodgers over 10 years. This will be the first news conference that we're hearing from the Dodgers as they officially introduce the newest member of their organization. So that is coming up here very soon. As soon as that gets started, we'll take you out live to it here. In the meantime, let's give you another live picture out of New York City right now. We were just in a update from officials, with officials out of New York as they spoke on an officer-involved shooting investigation. Let's keep listening in here until this Dodgers event gets started.
Just to paint you a picture of the perpetrator that was involved in this incident today. He's been identified as Ken Edwards. He's a male, 43 years old. Last known address was 691 Girard Avenue in the Bronx. He has 11 prior arrests dating back to 1995. His last arrest was on February 23rd for a rape. He was wanted for a 2023 non-fatal shooting, which I will get into, a 2023 sexual abuse, forcible touching that also occurred in Manhattan in the confines of the 9th Precinct, a 2022 strangulation that occurred in Queens, and he had an active bench warrant for failing to register as a sex offender. So this whole incident today begins with a non-fatal shooting that occurred on 10/18/23 at 02:49 in the morning. The location is in front of Izzy's Bar, which is located at 1450 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. This is in the confines of the 19th Precinct, and it's located between East 75th and East 76th Street. The motive for this shooting stems from a dispute inside of the bar. The shooting victim and his wife were enjoying an evening out when they become involved in a verbal dispute with Mr. Kent and an identified female companion. This altercation occurs over a dispute for using a photo booth that was located inside of the bar. This argument quickly escalates and spills out into the street, where Mr. Edwards shoots his victim one time in the left leg and pistol whips him to his head. Mr. Edwards and his female partner flee the scene, leaving 9 .40 caliber shell casings back at the location. Detectives from the 19th Precinct Detective Squad and Manhattan North Homicide were quickly able to positively identify Ken Edwards as the shooter. While working with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, probable cause was established for Mr. Edwards, and on 10/20/23, our fugitive enforcement unit was assigned to make the apprehension of this dangerous and wanted felon. By using computer work, physical and electronic surveillance, Mr. Edwards was tracked to 206 Eldridge Street, apartment 2C today by members of the Manhattan Warrants Violent Felony Squad. Contact was made with the suspect at 11:45 in the morning. Residents there stated that he had locked himself in the bathroom and was in possession of a firearm. Warrant members quickly pull out of the location, establish a perimeter, notify emergency service and hostage negotiation. During this operation and dialogue, Mr. Edwards shoots at our ESU cops. A cop is struck in the vest. We return fire, striking Edwards.
Eric Dursky, ABC.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Chief Manager, if you can you just identify the kind of weapon the suspect had? And also, given what we're seeing on the table, how close a call is this for your officer?
I'll let Chief Arambulis from Special Operations answer that question.
From what we saw that the individual had, it was a 9mm. With us, we have these bunkers. One is a 6-foot bunker. It's a ballistic protection for these officers. We have a that is 6.5 foot in height. So these officers trained. They consistently try to help the individual today, and it had to come to this time.
Eileen O'Connor, Pix 11.
I have a question. So you started with the Scout, then the drone, and then the avatar. So are the officers outside the main door, and all of these are able to? I mean, I thought the door to the bathroom was closed. So how is the drone and that camera able to?
Well, they try to use a lot of the technology, but a lot of the technology wasn't really helping them out the way they needed it. And he actually rendered some of the technology useless. The Scout, he threw something on top of the Scout, which immobilized it. The drone, he actually thrown out of the air with a broom. They also try to use a pole camera. I don't think I said that. They try to use a pole camera, but they couldn't get the pole camera in. And then when
All right, listening in here to this update out of New York City, an officer-involved shooting investigation that is happening right now, hearing from police on the very latest here. We're going to take our final commercial break here of this hour. When we come back, we have 2 live events that we're keeping our eyes on here. This one, as you can see here, Artemis 2 members are speaking after meeting with President Biden this evening. So we'll bring you out to that update here very soon. Also, still waiting on this update out of Los Angeles, California. The Dodgers officially introducing the newest member of their organization, Shohei Ohtani. We'll be bringing you out to that news conference as well as soon as it gets started. Welcome back. You're watching live now from Fox. Pretty soon here, any minute now, we'll be taking you out to a live news conference out of Los Angeles, California, talking all about this guy, Shohei Ohtani's record-setting $700 million 10-year deal with the Dodgers. The podium is set here. We will take you out to that here very soon. In the meantime, we have another live event to take you out to as well. This one out of Washington, D.C., members of Artemis 2 speaking here with the media after meeting with President Biden this evening as they plan to go to the moon for the first time in over 50 years. Let's listen in here live to some of their remarks.
It's a wonderful opportunity to thank him for his leadership and to get to know him a little bit better and to share our gratefulness for this mission and for what he's done for the space program.
NASA astronaut Victor Glover, and yeah, it was amazing. We also had a chance to meet the Vice President earlier, and she took some time to also say hello to our families, and again, it's really been nice to just shake their hands and tell them thank you for their leadership and making it possible for us to have this amazing journey we're going on.
When do you launch?
We're on the schedule right now for November of 2024, so about a year from now. But as the crew, we don't even think about the date. We will go when NASA and the vehicle are ready to fly, and we look forward to that opportunity.
There's been speculation that your launch could be moved from 2024 to 2025. Is that your understanding, or is your understanding still November 2024?
It's still planned for November 2024.
I'm sorry, Mr. Henson, I didn't allow you to see your piece. Would you like to tell us?
My name's Jeremy Hansen. I'm an astronaut with the Canadian Space Agency, and for me, it was very meaningful to both of the senior leaders of the U.S. to be able to reflect back to them our gratitude for their leadership. The world needs strong leadership today more than ever, and this mission, Artemis II, is just such a shining example of what strong leadership can do to bring the world together to solve big problems and to collaborate. And so for me, it was just a real honor to say thank you on behalf of Canada for inviting us on this journey, taking on a big challenge together. And what I see in both of our countries is people bringing their genius to bear. I just think that's a wonderful thing. The president talked about opportunity, about the challenges the world faces. They're much bigger than just Artemis, but Artemis will be an example of the extraordinary things we can do. And when he said opportunity, that really resonated with all of us.
Any update on a human mission to Mars?
We've got to get Artemis II to the moon and back to Earth safely, and then we can pass the baton off to the Artemis III team. So this is NASA's been 25 years or so from going to Mars, but for 25 years. And so this mission, as every step that we take is taking steps closer to getting humans to Mars. And so we're finally tracking down that 25 years. And so now we're 24 and a half years from going to Mars, but we're actually chasing it down in earnest.
Do you feel like the United States has fallen behind some of our competitors in terms of space exploration and the space field?
I think you just need to look around what is going on in the United States. Obviously, we are just immersed in this every day of our lives.
Fox 26 News at 5 starts now.
Now at 5, just hours after the Clements High School principal was arrested on alleged prostitution charges, a former teacher at Clements has been arrested for alleged sex trafficking. And federal investigators find 2 Houston contractors at fault for a deadly roof collapse at Friendswood High School. And why this year's White House Christmas video has so many people talking. Fox 26 News at 5 starts right now.
We begin with some new information on the big prostitution bust that took place in Fort Bend County this week. Now, we do know that 16 men were arrested, including a school principal and a former teacher.
Sheriff Eric Fagan said that they will continue to make arrests. He spoke with reporter Sherman DeSell about this investigation today. Sherman, what details did he give to you about this bust?
Yeah, Rashi, Caroline, good evening. The Sheriff Fagan says that the men arrested in this prostitution sting were caught using a website that's known for soliciting prostitution. He also says that his department is going to be working diligently on this, especially since prostitution in these cases could easily be tied to trafficking.
You don't know who you're talking to online. You could be talking to one of our officers.
16 men arrested in Fort Bend County for soliciting prostitutes, part of an Operation Naughty List, a multi-agency sting operation. The sheriff tells Fox 26 transactions were done on a covert website with undercover officers posing as sex workers.
The days of the females on the street is pretty much over. It's very seldom that you see that. They're doing it now online. Using social media.
The DA's office states one of those men, 43-year-old James Schillingberg, a now former principal at Clements High School, agreed to meet up with an undercover officer at a Holiday Inn Express in Missouri City Monday night. They report he agreed to engage in sexual acts for $90. Just Wednesday night, Sugarland police confirmed Mason McKee, a former Clements High sociology teacher, was arrested on a sex trafficking warrant out of Cobb County, Georgia.
We did investigate that. It doesn't, at this time, seems like they have a connection.
Another suspect, 31-year-old Prince Williams, was arrested for promotion of prostitution. Fagan wants to remind the public solicitation of prostitution is a state felony, and women often rescued in sex work cases can be tied to a global industry.
Some of these workers are victims. They are victims. We've rescued over 30 victims here in Fort Bend County that was in human trafficking.
Yeah, Sheriff says that they're going to continue to work on this case. It's an ongoing investigation. And because it's an ongoing investigation, that's why Fort Bend ISD declined to comment on those particular former staff members of theirs. And he also gave some tips on how to remain vigilant and be aware of your surroundings, making sure that nothing suspicious is happening in your neighborhood or in your community. He breaks that down in the next hour. We'll show that to you right here online and on the air. Reporting from Fort Bend, Sherman DeSell, Fox 26 News.
Sherman, thank you. Well, we are bracing for storms moving into our area. Fox 26 is your Gulf Coast Weather Authority meteorologist Ramisha Shade joining us from the Weather Center. Ramisha.
Well, I've been tracking this next system. It looks pretty powerful. Currently sitting over New Mexico. We've already got heavy rain and snow back to our north and west. It is going to push off to the east over the next 24 hours, and it's going to drag up a lot of moisture, and that will increase our threat for heavy rain. Let's get a view of our Fox Red radar right now, and it's anything but heavy rain showing up. We are rain-free, storm-free out there. In fact, the clouds kind of broke up today. We got to enjoy some sunshine with some drier air briefly building in. So it's been a gorgeous day. In fact, we're still close to 70 in Houston right now, but look at that system back across New Mexico. You can see some heavy rain up towards the Texas Panhandle. Rain switching to snow as you move farther north up into parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. So we've got some interesting weather going on there. We're not going to get the snow, but do anticipate a round of heavy rain on the way. Best chance will be after 5 p.m. tomorrow. I can't rule out a few strong storms. That's why we are calling tomorrow a Fox 26 storm alert day. So be prepared for some disruptive weather tomorrow. I'll break down the timing when the worst of it will push in coming up.
All right, Ramisha, thank you. A dangerous chase at lunchtime snaking from Houston's north side and coming to a crashing end between Montrose and Upper Kirby District. Fox 26's Dominique Keith is live there after speaking with a woman who was actually in the vehicle that was being chased. Dominique.
Yeah, the passenger in that speeding SUV says she is grateful to be alive. At speeds more than 85 miles an hour, the driver managed to miss other vehicles on that nearly 20-mile pursuit. But here in West Alabama, where the driver crashed, there was a close call with a pedestrian.
I was going to die. And if I didn't die in that car, I thought one of them were going to kill me.
Fortunately, no one was injured during a 22-minute chase that began on Aldine Mail Route at Hardy Toll Road when detectives say someone reported seeing this man stealing from a construction site. And when deputies tried to pull him over, he sped away.
Very dangerous.